Hello Fortniters, fully loaded here, back with another video. Just flying into another area where I think it's player friendly for attempting a skybase. Uh, Lots of opportunity to get materials. Surprisingly, this doesn't look like an area that would be great for materials, but there's a lot of stone and a lot of a lot of metal, and obviously some trees around as well for wood. So and I don't think I was attempting to do this right off the jump. I do like to land here just to get the spidey gloves. Like, I've been finding it good to have the spidey gloves, the web slingers, the web shooters, whatever we decide to call them today. I may use different names interchangeably depending. But yeah, so land here to get the web shooters. Just again, I've been finding them, nice to have for rotating during the game. So it just so happens that I managed to find a pizza. So I was thinking, that's a great, some great heal there. I have I'm close to the web shooters. So yeah, I was thinking maybe I'll take another crack at a skybase. I just did a video on, me successfully winning with a skybase, and I have the perfect, I guess the perfect landing, with the pizza already, and having some good heal. Yeah, why not take another crack at this, see if that skybase was fluke or not. Now, don't get me wrong, doing a skybase I think is difficult. I think it's difficult to get started. I think it's difficult to stay unseen while you're up in your skybase. Especially when it gets close to the end game. If a player can't find you, and depending on, where the circle ends up being, there may be more chances for players to look up. What kind of kills you as well is the supply drops continue to occur, even later in the game. So, a lot of people will just take a look up, seeing where the supply drop is, see if they can shoot down the balloon, and it just gets them looking towards where you will be with your skybase. So there's a lot of factors going against somebody attempting to do a skybase. But anyway, I think the game that I managed to pull it off in, I think worked out really well, because the circle closed in on Tilted, and yeah, I think where people are surrounded by buildings, they don't have that clear sight to the horizon, as they would in maybe another area that wasn't surrounded by buildings. So I think that was what helped me in that particular game. So not a lot of people focused on looking up, because they're either hiding in buildings or surrounded by buildings. So that particular location fared fairly well for me in that particular game, and I was able to easily get the skybase. I didn't have to get into dealing with taking my heals, so yeah, so that worked out. So this game here, I'm attempting the skybase just to see if I can do it again, and because I think I have a decent setup to do so, like with getting the pizza off the drop, and I'm in an area where I can gather mats. So yeah, I just figured, hey, let's give this another shot. So this is what I'm attempting to do. So here I am getting mats. You can see I'm trying to focus on metal now. Lots of metal in this area between the fences and these containers. I think I have plenty of brick and quite a bit of wood. So yeah, it's just you're doing a skybase. It would suck if you got up there and then ran out of mats. So I think any skybase I attempted, I tried to have at least 2,000 mats. Ideally, if you can, is get close to 3,000. But anyway, so here we go. I tried to start with the wood. I think my thinking here is, if I get later in the skybase, if I use brick or metal in the later stages, it just gives me maybe an extra shot or two to realize somebody might be shooting it down, and then it gives me an opportunity to get ready and use the web slingers, the web shooters, to save my butt. So even if somebody does shoot you down, I have a video that can attest to it, is you can still save yourself. if you can get your web shooters equipped and get them to lock on to an object like a tree or whatever, a building, you can save yourself from the fall and still, salvage your game and maybe still have a chance to get a win. So I'm kind of caught back in the storm a little bit. I sort of see this as not the end of the world. I feel like the storm somewhat masks your build a little bit. Doesn't make it impossible to see, but just, makes it a little darker. So unless somebody's specifically looking for it, maybe they won't notice. So this is what I've realized, is there is a height capacity to the build that you can do in this particular game. So I've reached it. So that's what you saw there. I was coming down a notch because I had reached the highest level you could build. So yeah, I'm as high as I can be. So that's what I want to be, as high as I can be. So I'm not just hovering over people's heads. I want to be difficult to find. So I feel like that is made possible by being high up in the sky. And then I'm just trying to hover on the edge of the storm as it closes in. So yeah, it's not looking like the circle is closing in an area that I think is ideal to me. There's no town in this area. It just seems to be like a wooded area. So I'm already not liking that, but anyway, I'm just chugging along. Yeah, just trying to stay on the edge of the storm. So I kind of am here. Not a whole lot going on. So far, so good. Nobody's firing at me. We're down to the final few players. And yeah, I'll just wait here and hang out until the storm decides to move again. So I think this is, so far this, I mean, this is, there's not like there's a playbook. It's not like I watched videos on how to do a skybase. I've seen people attempt skybases before, in older seasons, but older chapters. But yeah, I'm just kind of winging it here. I don't know if what I'm doing is the best strategy or not. It makes sense to me to be on the edge of the storm. It makes sense to me to, yeah, just to build as the storm sort of closes in. I know from being on, I guess, the the non-skybase end of things, is I don't look up. I don't know how many people look way up during a game, but I don't. And that's what got me thinking, like, hey, I could probably pull this off and get a win, because I didn't look up. Like, I played in a game where I did beat a player that actually shot down the person in a skybase, and I don't know if I would have looked up to see them. So I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I might be able to pull this off. So that's what got me sort of thinking about even trying to pull one of these off. So I think my last win, I did a skybase. So I think that, it takes a lot of luck to pull one off. Like, but again, I think there's also some people that it doesn't occur to them to look up for a skybase, as it didn't to me, really. I knew people are capable of doing them, but I don't know how often people try to pull them off. I don't think people are attempting every game, and this is the thing that I didn't want to see, is the supply drop. Like, I know if anybody's going to look up, it's to maybe look up at that supply drop. So I'm trying to stay, luckily it wasn't necessarily overly close to me, but the circle is small, so by default it may be close to me. So that was the only thing that I was really concerned about, was that late supply drop. So hopefully people's eyes are settled in now on the lower the lower part of the screen and not looking up anymore. So yeah, that was my biggest concern. So again, so far so good. I feel like if nobody's tried to shoot me down now, that's got to bode well for me. But I feel like the highest risk may be when it's down to the final player. That is not me. So when it gets down to the final two, I got a feeling, if we're in the open like we seem to be, seems to be no, no structures around. So I would suspect if it gets down to the final player, they may be like, there's nowhere for the other player to be, and then look up and say, oh, there you are, and shoot me down. So that's my biggest concern. I'm going to worry right until the end of the game. So again, I'm feeling, though, seems still pretty good to me, but I know my biggest worry might be when it's down to just one other player besides myself. and there's nowhere to, like, the game where I got the Skybase, again, it was in Tilted Towers, so there's lots of places for a player to hide, so one wouldn't necessarily think to look up, as their first instinct or as their next go-to. But in this case, I feel like looking up would be, okay, there's nowhere to hide, there's no trees, there's no buildings, and then somebody might look up as a result. And I think, yeah, that's the big concern. So we're getting down to the final few. I think there's 3 players now. So yeah, I'm down to my medal. I still got a few mats left, so I'm not concerned at this point. But the circle's going to start to get kind of crazy. It starts zigging and zagging. So I'm good for health. I have, I think, a couple slices of pizza left. So the circle's getting really small. I think we're still down to 3 players. Oh no, there's 2. Okay, I'm having a hard time reading it. So yeah, the circle's getting really small. So this player's got to be thinking, there's nowhere left to go. Maybe they're too worried about staying in the circle. Now the circle's actually gone, so I'm eating what pizza I have left. 1, 2. All the pizza's gone. Losing my health. This player's not dying. They must have some heal as well. So, bam, there you go. Gosh, that was close. Yeah, that was really close. So, I was actually really curious about the other players. So I'm now bringing up the other perspective of the other players. So I was able to find 2 players that I could see clearly saw my Skybase. So I am exposed here. But this particular player, I did watch them beyond this, and that player didn't shoot me down because all they had was an SMG, a shotgun, and a grenade launcher. So that player saw me and just didn't have the means to shoot me down. And then eventually he got eliminated. So now this player here where I'm picking up with also sees my Skybase. And, we'll follow along to see what they saw. So they just eliminated the second to last player besides myself. And this is what I was saying. When you got an area where there's no place to hide, they're checking to see where I'm at. I'm not, they're checking. I could be under there. I'm assuming they're feeling like I'm not. There's nowhere else to go. First thing they do is look up because there's nowhere else to hide. Now I slowed this down for a reason. Now watch what they look at me with. Boom. You can only do that with an AR MK rifle. They could have shot me down with that weapon. Why they didn't, I have no idea. That gun is capable of shooting me down because I know this player has, I believe, a shotgun as well, and an SMG. I think when I was following them through, looking at their gameplay, but they had a weapon that was capable of shooting me down. So I don't know if they're confident that they can maybe climb to me, and that's a waste of mats right there. They use those splash to get shield. So again, I don't know if they're doing that because they're prepping to get up to me, climb up to me, or build up to me to fight me one-on-one, on my level. I can only assume what was going through their head because they had the weapon that was capable of shooting me down and they chose not to. And here they are building towards me, trying to, I don't know, get up to my level and fight me maybe. I don't know, for an exciting ending. But yeah, that's what they're attempting to do. So, granted, and I was obviously oblivious to this because I didn't look down. I was just focused on staying in the circle, as they seem to be. So they're doing a good job of that. They're quite a capable builder to get up to this point. And now they actually have that heal spray. So that's what made them go as long as they did with me. So it was a nail biter. Like, you wait and see how close it was. It can't get any closer. But, just know that they could have shot me down and could have won this very simply. Look at this. Down to 1 health I was. So they almost won that game. So this is my second Skybase win. So thanks for watching.